after it had already been in effect, which is
Well, you can't do anything until you get notification in writing from the government. So
gotcha.
the email came on December the 26th.
Wow.
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 So
Mm.
in essence,
With the staff, yeah, with the staff, the way we handle it is that you have to work with HR, and HR will send out an email to everybody and follow up with calls to them as to how the company is going to handle everything. So we also do a one-on-one with with employees, because different people have different needs.
Right.
And so we work to see how we can provide assistance to them. So far, we've been retaining everyone that we can. Not sure how long we can do this, though.
Wow.
so I just want to
So
make sure that I heard you correctly.
Yeah.
You didn't get any advance notification that you were not going to get paid, possibly?
No.
I mean, that's what it boils down to.
Wow.
Wow.
No, you didn't. No.
Wow.
No.
I mean, just the fact that you're not getting paid is traumatic enough. But I would think that you would at least have some type of plan going on that allows you to let the contractors know so that at least your employees can start making other arrangements, whether it's, getting a part-time job, whatever they need to do to
Right.
survive at this point. But that's just really amazing that you didn't receive any notice. That's amazing.
No.
Wow. And and just from and I remember you said that you were contracted with FAA, and I know as we sort of slide into the whole TSA piece, I know, for example, those men and women are averaging around $15 to $20 an hour as a wage, and so I'm just astonished to hear some of the comments that I've been hearing. I heard one of the White House staff was saying that this whole furlough, this whole shutdown thing was like a vacation, and when you get back from vacation, you get a check. That kind of just crazy thinking. And if that is the overall attitude, then I see why this is such a bigger mess than I thought it was.
Well, some of the essential employees like TSA have to show up to work in Coast Guard, but they're not
That's
getting
correct.
a paycheck. They
That's
do
correct.
get a paycheck stub, but on the stub it has zero.
Wow.
Wow. So let me ask you this: as a contractor, and do the employees' other benefits such as their health care and dental care still get paid, or is that shut off too?
No, that's up to each company. Some companies may not be able to afford it, but we're retaining that.
Okay, and are you aware of whether or not the federal employees, whether they still receive their benefits?
They still receive their benefits. Yes.
Okay, so that at least folks can still go to the dentist and go to the doctor. But I know the catch there is, depending on what your copay is, you may not be able to take care of your business.
Right.
So I know federal employees still receive their benefits, but what happens to the people who are leaning on the government for assistance? Like, what happens to Medicare and welfare, and what happens with those kind of things?
Yeah, because they're not employees of the government and working, they still receive their payment.
Wow.
So
Okay, good.
So for your employees, have you found, or have you started to see rather, some of the symptoms that they're stressed out?
Yeah, stressed out, and in addition, some people are tired. They're ready to go back to work.
Right. So from the stressed out perspective, what types of things have you been able to do for your employees just to kind of help them get through this troubled period?
Well, like I said, so far we retained everybody up to this point, but not sure that we'll be able to do that much longer.
Wow. Thinbad, I know I kind of jumped in there, but go ahead. I know you had some questions also.
No, I'm just I was thinking the callousness of the. I saw the person that you were talking about too, and that was someone from the cabinet, I think, who was talking about. Well, it's like a big vacation, and just that kind of callousness in the midst of the hardships that people are going through. You've got people who are expected to be at work without pay, but even if they're riding, if they got cars, how long you think they're gonna be able to put gas in their cars without a paycheck?
Mm-hmm.
If you've got subway passes or whatever, you got to pay for those too. You got to pay for however you get around. You have to pay for these things. So I don't know. This is the gamesmanship around this when you're dealing with quality of life issues and dealing with real people and real issues of how are they going to survive and what are they going to do. And a lot of people are already paycheck to paycheck. So missing a paycheck is no joking matter. It's not a vacation. And if you you get paid it, so then you get a check. They're going to get back pay, and of course that's going to be taxed out the wazoo.
Right.
I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
They get this huge check that they're not used to getting, so then they've still got to scramble. This is a mess.
It is a hot mess.
And I don't know if they're. Yeah.
Well, Deborah, let me ask you a question. Have you had the opportunity to speak to any of your elected officials?
I have not.
Or have any of them reached out to, the constituents, or is there a contractors group, if you will, in the D.C. metropolitan area where they've at least been able to filter your information, or just any other type of support things that you may be able to take advantage of?
I'm not aware of anything so far.
Wow. And we were referring, actually, I'm just backtracking for a minute. We were referring to Kevin Hassett. I saw his interview on MSNBC where he was saying that people have vacation. This is like a vacation, but they don't have to use their vacation days. So in some sense,
smiling.
Right. He and that's the thing that just torqued my chain. He was actually smiling at that, and that just was just so petty and just so heartless. And to just think that, well, you guys, kind of fumble around out there, and when we're ready to deal with you, we'll deal with you. But in the meantime, we're getting paid, so you do the best you can. And that's
right.
Yeah. And I guess let me ask this next question. From an economic perspective, and I know you have other friends that are contractors and so forth. So when you look at the long-term impact, because I know your employees go to Safeway and go to the movies and all these other things, what do you see as some of the economic things that are going downward from your perspective that you can see right now in the as they call it back there, the DMV?
Yeah, a lot of people are cutting back on things right now. I mean, if you wanted to travel right now and go to the airport, my son-in-law went to the airport and hardly anyone was there.
Wow.
So it's in the airlines now. If you notice today, Delta Airline is really impacting them because even the government travels that they choose Delta Airline, they're not traveling now. So it's affecting a lot of things, and the government now in D.C. has changed. It's a lot of young people work for the federal government now, and they don't have the savings in place for 2 months or even a month after a holiday. They live in paycheck to paycheck.
Wow.
So people are impacted. One, that they'll be able to pay their car note, if they'll be able to pay their mortgage or their rent. So it's affecting a lot of people in a lot of different ways. And some people, since they out of work, they pulling their kids out of child care.
Wow.
Right?
Oh, that's
they
right.
They can't afford it.
So do you anticipate that this will, if it continues, let's just say, God forbid it goes another 2 or 3 weeks, do you see certain small businesses, because I know your business probably can't afford to take the same hits that an IBM would, for example. Do you see small businesses saying, you know what, I can't deal with this anymore. We're going to have to shut this down, and I'm going to go get a job at X, Y, and Z company. Do you see that happening? Are you hearing that vibe from some of your compatriots?
What's happening now is essentially staff that contracting staff, like a lot of TSA people is contracting staff, right? And they're just not showing up for work.
Wow. So now, I don't know whether you can verify this. So what we're hearing is that in the D.C. area that people are not showing up so they can perhaps pull a couple hours at Walmart or some other place where they know they can sort of ride this storm out. Is that what you're hearing?
Yeah, well, we had some bad weather here as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so that impacted a lot of stuff. We haven't been able to get around. So the streets wasn't plowed like they should have been plowed. So it was it's affecting a lot of different things because people not showing up for work.
Wow. and you certainly can't blame people. I mean, when you put in an honest day's work, you want an honest day's wage. And I'm just really astonished that the powers that be don't seem to get that particular piece, that if I'm working all day, I expect to get paid for it.
Yes.
Imagine that.
No.
What were you saying, Thinbad?
I said, and imagine that people, working and expect. Because this is just crazy. But do you find? I know there've been so many. Is it a when you go into control work? Is that a consideration? How much of a consideration is the thought of a government shutdown when you go into this contractual situation? Because there's been, I don't know, upwards of 20 plus over the, since there was a government. And some of them have been short, and of course this one is longer, and you don't want to see one at all ever. But do you, when you enter into a contract with the government, is there a plan for this kind of thing? Or granted, I know there's not one for something that's going on as long as this, but is that kind of wrangling expected, and do we just figure that they'll get it together and it won't be that long and it won't affect us? Just didn't know if that was in the thinking or factored in at all with folks who do contracting work. Do they think about that kind of thing?
Well, it seems like there was not a lot of thought given to this whole thing.
Not in general, right? With what's going on now,
just looking at the whole reaction of the president in terms of, I'm going to shut this thing down. Now, I know that's a lot of bravado, and your base is going nuts and saying, hey, man, fight for it. But the impact is what I don't think he thought through, nor those that are supporting him, because at some point, whether you're Republican, Independent, Democrat, whatever, this is going to impact you in some shape or form.
Well, I don't think that it's that they didn't think it through. I just think that, I think when Trump was elected, every time he's done something that is just super wild and outside of the box, there are always comments like, oh, well, I knew he was different, but I didn't know he'd be like this, I always hear those kind of comments. So it's almost like they knew that there was going to be some kind of negative impact to this attitude and this, because if you really think about it, like, this whole shutdown is a result of a temper tantrum for him not being able to deliver a promise that he made during his campaign. So it's almost like the impact that this was eventually going to have wasn't tangible. So I really don't think people took it as seriously as it needed to be taken initially. I really think that that's the problem, because anybody who was analyzing him in the beginning was like, this guy's unstable, he's going to make decisions that are going to impact millions of people. But I don't think that I think people were able to give those opinions, but like now it's really hitting people like, wow, this guy really does not care. Like, this is really affecting a lot of America. that people don't even realize. I mean, like I said before, people will think of Capitol Hill and the people directly working up in D.C., but